Okay, guys, we're moving on with our motion and velocity unit here. And what we're going to be talking about specifically today is speed. Okay, and then in the next PowerPoint, we'll get into velocity, and then we'll compare how speed and velocity are similar and how speed and velocity are different. But today we are going to talk about speed. Once you get through this short little video, you have 10 problems to do for me, and I'll go through that with you and how I want that done. And then if you have any questions about that, you'll be able to get back with me during the school day. So, what is speed? Speed is how fast an object moves. We all know what speed is, kind of a silly question there, but how fast does an object move? That is what speed is. Now, there are different types of speed. There we have what is called instantaneous speed. This is the speed at any given point in time. If you're driving in your car and you look at your speedometer, it's going to say, let's say 55 miles per hour. That is your instantaneous speed. There is constant speed. An object covers equal distances in equal amounts of times. That would be then that you drove your car at 55 miles per hour for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of distance. And then finally, we have what is called the average speed. That's what we are going to be working with today, is average speed. So what is average speed? It's simply the motion of an object moving at changing speeds. Okay, so if I tell you to get in your car and drive, say, from Yorktown to Carmel, over by Indianapolis, you would simply see and check how far you travel in your car. You would check and see how long did it take you to get from here to Carmel. And by using those two measurements, you would be able to calculate your average speed from here to Carmel. Okay, so instantaneous, constant, and average are the three different types of speeds that we will be getting. Again, our focus is going to be on average speed. So, how do I find average speed? As I mentioned in the previous slide, you need to know the distance. We can measure distance in centimeters, meters, kilometers, inches, feet, miles. Okay, in class, we'll usually deal with meters. On the roadways, you might deal in kilometers or miles. In the classroom, we may also deal with inches or feet. Okay, and you got to know time. How long are you traveling? How long did it take you to get from point A to point B? We can measure those in seconds. That's what we'll most commonly be using in the classroom. We can measure in minutes. We can measure in hours. We can even measure speed in light years. Okay, now, for our sake in the classroom, we will usually deal with meters as our distance measurement and seconds as our time measurement. If you're out driving on the road, usually you know we measure in miles per hour. Okay, but those are just the units that we are going to be dealing with here. So how do I calculate speed? It's a very, very simple calculation. So when you do your problems later, you will need a calculator. I don't carry a calculator, but you still have to show your work. Don't forget that. I'll go over that more here when I go over the worksheet. So how do we find speed? Speed is simply taking the distance traveled and dividing by the amount of time. Again, distance traveled divided by the time of travel. So for example, a wheelchair racer finishes a 132-meter sprint in 18 seconds. What was his average speed for the race? Okay, we will simply take the distance, in this case 132 meters, and divide that by the 18 seconds the racer took to finish the race. If we do that, we're going to get 7.33. Now, since this is a measurement, we have to include units. You'll notice that the meters and the seconds do not cancel out, so our units of measurement for speed are, in this case, meters/seconds or meters per second. Okay, so again, a very, very simple type of problem for determining speed. We'll do another example here. Again, speed is distance divided by time. In this case, we have a swimmer that's swimming 110 meters. They do that in 72 seconds. So what we're going to do is find the swimmer's average speed. Okay, again, we set up the equation. We place distance first at the top, 110 meters. We place the time below, 72 seconds. We work out the division, and we get 1.53. Again, we are calculating a measurement here, so we are needing units. Again, meters per second. So, again, we're going to do a couple practice problems. If we were in class, I would have had you work these out by yourself first, and then we would have come back together and worked them out. But here on this video, I'll just go through it for you. Again, we find that we are going to calculate time here. It says a family is making a weekend trip to the mountains. How long would it take, that is time, to travel 120 miles if they average a speed of 45? So how do I find time? I know speed is equal to distance divided by time. Time is simply distance divided by the speed. Okay, some basic algebra here that you guys should have already learned. But again, time is simply distance divided by speed. So I set up, show my work. I'm going to take the distance of 120 miles and divide that by 45 miles per hour. When I do the math, I'm going to get 2.67. Now, here's something very important that you need to understand. Units work just like numbers. So I have miles over miles per hour. Okay, so you have to think about your units as numbers. If I have 2 over 2, they cancel out. So if I have miles over miles, they're going to cancel out. So if I cancel the miles out, what I'm going to be left with is a unit in time. And in this case, our unit of time is hours. Okay, so again, this M cancel out. I'm left with hours. Okay, so it would take 2.6 hours for them to make the trip. Another type of problem is what you see here. How far would you travel on your bicycle if you rode at a speed of 20 miles per hour, an average speed, for 45 minutes? In this case, I am finding distance. So how do I find distance? In this case, using algebra, I can figure out that distance is equal to speed times time. Again, distance is speed times time. So, I plug in my speed. My speed here was 20 miles per hour. I did this for 45 minutes. Now, something very important when doing your math here or working out your problem. I need my units of time to be the same. So what I've done is I've taken 45 minutes and I have divided by 60 minutes per hour. I have converted this 45 minutes into 0.75 hours. So that when I do my math, the hour here that's on the bottom and this hour here that's on the top will cancel out, and that leaves me with 15 miles. I will be able to travel 15 miles in 45 minutes at an average speed of 20 miles per hour. Okay, now you have seen 3 different types of problems that have deal with speed, distance, and time. If you need to rewatch this as you're doing the problems, feel free to go back and review it. The next thing that you're going to be doing here is doing a worksheet. On your next little video, I'm going to explain how I want you to do that and show your work. Again, if you're having any issues, I am available throughout the school day. It works best here that if you're contacting me during your actual class time, this will just be either block 2 or block 3, and I'll be able to get back with you um, and show you how or explain to you how to do the work. Have a great day.